to psychology, and it's going to cover physiological and biological psychology, sensation and perception, social psychology, and other topics. Now, some of you aren't aware that there are such things as biological psych yet. When we get to that part of the course, somebody's going to say, but that's not psychology. And I'll remind you that, well, I told you to look at CalAD ahead of time, but we'll get there. All right. Here's the next courses. This is the catalog description. How many of you used to sell the catalog over at the bookstore? People used to buy the catalog. Anybody here ever bought a catalog? You have to be an old person, like, well, this is a very young old person right here.
Thank you.
We remember buying the catalog. When we were students, you go over to the student store, you have to buy the catalog and you look this stuff up. Now everything's online. I think I might have seen maybe one other hand besides the two of us that might have, maybe you bought a catalog in the past.
Freshman year.
Freshman year, and that was about the end of it, right? So here's the catalog for Intro Psych. Basic concepts, problems, methods in psychology, perception, learning, measurement, cognitive processes, development, motivation, personality, abnormal behavior, physiological and social psych. 5 hours of research participation required. I'll go over that in a bit. It's recommended students satisfy the ELM requirement before enrolling. That's entry-level mathematics. So you should take care of your entry-level mathematics before you take a course like this. It's also true of the entry-level English requirement. It's a good idea. Now, Psych 101 is intended to prepare people for these next courses in the sequence. Psych 110 is reasoning and problem solving. Psych majors tend not to take that course. They tend to take a course in philosophy or in the math department that satisfies the same basic core requirement. This one's a GE course that non-psych majors sometimes take. After this, it's reasoning and problem solving, sort of philosophy, logic, set theory, and topics like that. There's a course also equivalent, or it fulfills the same GE requirements, taught in philosophy, and also one taught in math department. Psych 201, that's the next one for the psych majors. That's elementary statistics. You can read that, but it's going to cover probability, hypothesis testing, the t-test, the chi-square, the f-test, sampling distributions of the mean, the variance correlation, regression, analysis of variance, interpretation of data. They'll teach you how to use statistical software. And then you'll use this when you take Psych 202, which is research methods in psychology. And it has the prerequisites of 101 and 201 when you go into 202. Some people, for some reason, try to skip statistics and take it at the same time as 202. Most instructors won't allow you to do that. Those that do are allowing the students to make a big mistake. It's like, how would you like to go into a duel without a weapon? Well, I can do it, the student says. The other person says, okay, you can get in the duel if you think you can dodge those bullets and somehow win. Barehanded. The other person's armed with swords and guns, knives, hand grenades. You've gone in there without any weapons? Okay. So take 201 before you take 202. That's research methods, and usually you have to be collecting data while you're in here, writing a research paper. You're going to collect data, write a report on it. You're going to apply your statistics. You really haven't got time to be, you got to take this one semester, take this the next semester. So psych majors will take intro, 201, 202. These are the courses in the lower division, then they'll take various courses in the upper division. All right. There are a lot of things you can do in the upper division. I'll mention some of those as we go through the class. So here is the requirements for the course. Attendance at all the classes and exams is required. Now, if you can't attend all the classes and aren't willing to do the planned course of reading and study, not willing to fulfill the requirements for the course, don't enroll in the class. So it's a good idea to know what you're getting in for, read the syllabus, and decide whether or not you want to take the class. Attendance at all the examinations is mandatory. If you miss the final, you cannot pass the class. If you miss a midterm, you will receive 0 unless there was some kind of an emergency. If you're running a fever or you get in an accident in the hospital or some other kind of equivalent emergency, you'll provide documentation like a letter from your doctor on the doctor's letterhead within a week, and we'll estimate the midterm from that part of the final covering the same material. So you'll still be tested on all the same material, but basically you need to attend the exam. But if you're sick, we can estimate it, but you need to document the reason. Has to be a good reason for it. The grades possible in the class are A+, A, B, C, D, and F. To get GE credit, you have to get a C or better. All the exams are multiple choice. You'll get an idea what the format of a multiple choice exam is like when you do the, first it's erased here now, but the pre-test. So you'll see what it's like to choose the best answer from a set of 5 alternatives. You'll need to know your campus-wide identification number. The exams are going to be closed books. Again, no calculators, cell phones, PDAs, computers, iPads, iPods, or other communication or data storage devices. It needs to be in your brain. All right, so all your work has to be your own. Everything is fair game, so it's a multimedia course. There'll be lectures. So this is a live lecture right now that you're having. I'm an actual person, as opposed to some hologram. Eventually, maybe there will be robots teaching for us. The administration loves the idea they could get rid of the pesky faculty that we have. You know, they'll just have a programmed version of me come give lectures. Or better yet, don't even have the students have to come to campus. They just have to come in online, right, through the computer. That's the dream of the administration on this campus, that everybody will just take courses online. We offer some online courses. This isn't one of them. There'll be a lot of online stuff for you to do, supplementary material. So we got live lectures. There'll be some things for you to do online, books to read, videos to view, so homework to do, other stuff like that. All of it's fair game, but those things that are covered in multiple places. So if I lecture on it and I give you homework on it, there'll be quizzes in here. If I give you a quiz on it, if I tell you it's important, all these are hints. These are the things you should study the most. Something that's only in one place, like in a book somewhere, and it's in the chapter that was assigned, but I didn't talk about it, no homework about it, it wasn't in a video, it wasn't covered anywhere else. It's fair game, but there'll be fewer questions like that on exams compared to things that are covered over in many different places. So if it's covered in lecture and the book and the homework and the video, it's a good bet that's the stuff that's going to be on the exam. All right. I'll give you more advice about being a student, but in brief, here's a quick advice. Be sure to attend all the lectures, and I recommend this for being a student in other classes. Other instructors say, I treat the students as adults. I just assume if they care about their education, they're going to attend. If they don't attend, they're in trouble. That's up to them. They won't tell you that it's important. I'm taking the time to tell you, even though it's not popular. Now you're going to get bad advice. I'm giving you good advice. Other students, where do you get bad advice? From other students. What will they say to you? They will say to you things like this. Hey, it's a nice, not today maybe, but hey, it's a nice day, let's go to the beach, drink beer. We never understand what he's saying in class anyway. He just talks and writes things on the board. You never understand anything. Why bother attending? And somebody will say, that sounds like a good idea. It'd be more fun to go to the beach today, wouldn't it? That's bad advice. Good advice is, even if you don't think you're understanding it, take the best notes you can and try to figure it out later. Try to concentrate. So attend, take good notes, best notes you can, read the books, Do the homework, study. Here's a hint, study especially quizzes and homeworks. So if I call attention, those are the things that are harder to get, or where I think students tend to have problems. You're going to need for the exams, number 2 pencils, erasers, and scantrons. I'll say more about that later. You need, as a student, filling in the scantron is important. So if you have to erase, you should really erase thoroughly, otherwise it gets scored as too wrong. So you can actually get a better grade than you deserve simply by being careful and filling out that form. I'll talk more about that later. You'll need your photo ID. The grades in this class are based on total points. The midterm, the final, plus the extra credit, except for the grade guarantee below. So in most cases, your grade will be based on total points, midterm plus final plus extra credit. Each exam item is worth 1 point. There will be approximately 45 to 50 on the midterm. You'll have about an hour to do up to 50 items on the midterm, so about 1 minute per item. There will be about 65 to 70, and you'll have at least an hour 20 to do about somewhere between 65 and 70 items on the final. So you'll have more than a minute per item, giving a total of about 110 to 120 points possible in the course. Now here's the exception. So here's an asterisk. Uses that word root that I taught you, aster, which means star. So here's an asterisk. Here's the guaranteed grades on the final. So if you screw up the midterm, you could still get an A by getting 90% on the final. So you can demonstrate you know the contents of the course on the final exam. That overweighs everything else. You will get the higher of the grade based on these two systems, total points and exam. I'm going to say more about grading at the lecture after the midterm exam. Be sure to attend the lecture, or attend all the lectures. Attend the lecture after the midterm exam, because I'm going to say more about grading and predicting your final grade from the midterm. Now quizzes, essays, homeworks, these can be done any day in class. And they'll be done for extra credit. And extra credit is worth a maximum of 3 points total for the course. 3 points total, how much is that? It's like 3 final exam items. Well, how many people are within 3 points of the next grade? About a third of the class. It's within 3 points of the next grade lineman. A lineman is a line or a boundary, a border. So that means about a third of the people end up either getting the next higher grade or staying where they are based on the extra credit. So it's a good idea to do it. More important than the value of the points for extra credit is actually doing the work. So doing the assignment, also have an indication of who's attending and who's not by that. And Kyle will be collecting that material and keeping track of it. And if you're not showing up for class, he may send you an email and try to reach you, to try to encourage you to take advantage of your education. How much does it cost to be a student here? Yeah, how much does it cost the taxpayers? A whole lot more. How much are you being benefited per year to be a student here? You're getting a subsidy of about, well, how much does it cost to go to USC for a year? Anybody know? How much would it cost you to go to SC? $60,000 a year. How much does it cost to go here? A lot less. How much does it cost the taxpayers to put a student through here? About $16,000 instead of. Now it costs SC about $65,000, but the student pays $60,000. Where do they get the difference? Because rich people die and leave them their money. Why do the rich people do that? Because they like the football team at SC. Do we have a football team?
No.
We used to, but we don't. Why don't we? Because it didn't win very much. Where do we used to play the games? Down at some high school in Santa Ana somewhere. And then they built the stadium on campus, and then they said, oh, well, we'll give up football anyway. As soon as the stadium was built, practically, they gave up football. We played a couple of real teams and got clobbered, UCLA. Fullerton played at UCLA, got beat something like 66-3. And they got about 12 injuries, guys with brain damage. I'm just kidding, that's a joke. You got to figure out when I'm joking. I'm exaggerating sometimes. Sometimes I'm joking. Sometimes I'm telling you the literal truth and people think I'm joking. So you have to try to work on that. See if you can figure it out. So you're getting a benefit of about $12,000 a year. Costs us about $16,000 instead of $65,000. So SC costs them $65,000 to have a student there at SC. Student pays $60,000. The difference is made up with federal grants, with donations, with people dying, leaving endowments because they're so proud of the football team. They got a lot of money donated to their library when, back when Pete Carroll was, it looks like he's doing pretty well this year too, isn't he? How many know who's in the Super Bowl? Not that many people, yeah, so you're not reading the sports section. Who's in the Super Bowl? See, okay, so more people seem to know their shot. And who's the coach? Pete Carroll. He used to be coach at SC. When he was coach at SC and they were national champions at SC, they got a lot of money donated to their library over at SC. And he's doing the same coach. He's quit SC and he's working for the Seahawks now. And they're going to be in the Super Bowl and they'll probably give him an even bigger raise. Too bad he isn't working for SC, they're thinking. Too bad he isn't working for us because maybe people give money to the library. We don't have that. So the taxpayers have to make up the difference. So each of you is getting a subsidy for about $12,000 a year to be allowed to be a student here. You know what they say? They say, if that person isn't going to attend class, I'm going to stop paying my taxes and subsidizing them. And they already are telling their legislatures, cut taxes, stop giving so much money to the universities. So what do the universities do? They raise the tuitions. And notice tuition at University of California, tuition at California State University, that's been going up because the taxpayers are saying, hey, we think these students, if they don't pay enough, they won't value their education enough to attend. So by all means attend and realize you have a lot of people supporting you. I'm trying to do the best I can to teach a good course. Kyle in here is going to try to encourage you. We're going to have these extra credit things to encourage you to do things you should be doing, like the homework and attending. Let's take a practice quiz here, just to get the feel of it. This is something that's part of the California curriculum. We'll see how well they did here in the state of California. How many went to school in California? Most people, looks like. So this is part of the California curriculum. Not have to do with psychology. All right, so it has to do with Columbus. Before 1492, why is 1492 important for Columbus, right? Because in 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue. That's what it's supposed to help you remember. 1492 is the date that he did his first voyage. But before 1492, he had to convince people to finance his expedition. He wanted some ships. Ships cost money. And the scholars at the time said to Columbus, you're not going to make it. What was the debate about? So Columbus debated the scholars. First question is, what was the issue of the debate? So you've got a piece of paper, right, and write your name on it. We'll collect those today. What was the issue of the debate? What were they arguing about? That's what I mean by the issue of the debate. Second question, who was right? Christopher Columbus or the scholars? I guess logically you could say both or neither, but by right I mean with reference to the main issue of the debate. There may have been side issues where what's the main issue they were arguing about? And who was right? And 3, where did you learn this? Why don't we, so this will be part A, I guess. And we'll have a part B here. Define psychology. So this is good practice because a lot of times the quizzes are going to seem like you didn't know the answer ahead of time. Do the best you can on both of these, and I'll give you the answer in just a second.